Excellent, thank you. Good morning, everybody. Today is May 19th, and this is our weekly Rotary Club meeting. And I would like to say a huge thank you to the people who have jumped in this morning to set up the room in the absence of several of us who are usually there to set up. So thank you to Phil, Chris, Ellie, Vince, and if I have left anyone out, please let me know so that I can thank you. Elizabeth. And I think that's it. But anyway, thank you to all of you who jumped in first thing this morning. I really appreciate it. And so we are going to, I'm going to pass the microphone to Barb, who is our speaker chair for May, and let her introduce our speakers.
Sure. First of all, I am thrilled to continue the theme of adding A to STEM. We're going to steam ahead, and we were able to do that today. Last week we talked about the visual arts. Today we're going to talk about the musical arts. I'm going to start by introducing Robert Whipple, who was named the executive director of the Lake Champlain Music Festival 2 years ago, wasn't it? I believe. Robert,
yeah, about a year ago. Yep.
Yeah. His broad background includes artistic leadership both at the Chamber Music Northwest, the Chamber Music Society of Lincoln Center, and a role in the program development of Opera America. With that in mind, I'm going to have Robert introduce himself and then introduce our guest, Soovin, who will talk a little bit about the Lake Champlain Chamber Concert Series. Go ahead, Robert. Thank you.
Thank you, Barb, and thanks to all of you for having us here this morning. We're so excited to talk to you about Lake Champlain Chamber Music Festival. So we are a chamber music performance experience here in the Burlington region. We have a 9-day festival in August. That's the centerpiece of our programming that Soovin's going to tell you all about. So I won't spoil that. And while I consider myself, sort of the administrative background and the person here in Burlington, that's the ambassador for the organization. Our artistic directors, Soovin Kim and Gloria Chen, are really the heart and soul and the reason for this whole festival. They do all the artistic planning and invite all the artists and think really thoughtfully about educational enrichment activities to really bring you into the music and make it a wonderful experience. I think Soovin can introduce himself better than I could ever introduce him and his background with this region. And I don't want to take too much away from him presenting about the festival, which is why we're here. So I'm going to pass the mic over to Soovin.
Good morning, everybody. It's so nice to see you again. Barb, do you remember the last time that I spoke to the Rotary Club?
Oh, it has to be about 4 or 5 years ago, right?
A while, and kind of a lifetime ago on the other side of this whole gap in our lives. So I know I haven't. I have actually seen some of you at the Lake Champlain Festival last August, which we were able to hold in person, and that was really wonderful. But I know I've been to the Rotary Club a couple of times at least, and normally played for you in person. I'm not going to play for you today. It doesn't sound so great over Zoom, but I am going to play for you some videos of some of the music that we're going to play this summer. To give you a little bit of a taste of that. So I hope it sounds okay over at the club. Really quickly, my connection to the area is that I grew up in Plattsburgh. My parents moved there when I was 9. And my father was teaching at SUNY Plattsburgh, and my mother was working at the hospital there. So the bulk of my musical activities growing up was, I'm a violinist, and I played in the Vermont Youth Orchestra. I played in the VYO from about age 9 to 15, and so really laid my musical roots down there. And at some point in my 20s, some kind of rabid music fans from Vermont, from the Burlington area, who would follow me around the world, actually, when I would perform at various music festivals. They talked to me about the idea of a festival in Burlington, and they said, "Well, why can't we have something that's like this? We can have a better festival." And I agreed, but I said I don't think I could be director of anything like that. It's too much for me at this time. At some point, it did make sense, and you're about to see on our brochure cover, we're about to have our 14th summer festival now. So it was in around 2007 or so that we started to talk about the festival. 2009, we had our first real summer festival, and it was amazing, and here we are, still going. From the beginning, we wanted to not just have a few really great concerts. I mean, of course, we wanted to have some really great concerts, but we also wanted to make the festival a real unique learning experience for the people who come. We wanted to create a week where if somebody wants to really get inside the music and come to lectures, to talks, to classes, to master classes, to demonstrations of not even just music, but things that are around the music. So, for instance, we've had some of the greatest violin and bow makers in the world come to visit and explain their craft to us. We've had a lot of composers. Living composers are really at the heart of our festival, and so they talk to us about their craft and give us a little bit of a glimpse into the mindset of somebody like a Mozart or a Beethoven, into their creative process. And so we wanted to really create a learning situation, and that's really been that's been kind of the calling card for the festival. People who love the festival the most actually come every day for a few hours a day to every single event. So that is, I would say, the way to experience it if you have time, if you have the time and interest. I know people have enjoyed it the most. But of course, you're welcome to come to a single concert as well. I'm going to share my screen and show you some of the events that we have planned for this year. Can you see the sailboat? Everyone see it? Okay. So each summer we have a theme. Some of them are, the themes have really varied over the years. The theme of the themes. Sometimes it's a very specific musical idea. There was one that I loved that was about the idea of counterpoint. Counterpoint is the idea of independent voices in music. Instead of two people singing together in harmony and harmonizing one another, counterpoint is when each person, if you have two singers, each person has a very distinct part, different rhythms, going in different directions, and so it's a little bit more maybe confrontational rather than collaborative, and really gives the music a lot of texture. Most of Bach's music was written in counterpoint, and that's what makes it so interesting and complex for us to listen to. So we had a whole festival on that. We had a whole festival that was focusing on music of wind instruments. This year it's just a general, kind of a big general idea, illumination, in that we're trying to illuminate music by composers. I mean, repertoire, first of all, that is not commonly played, but also music by composers who are not necessarily Mozart or Beethoven. They're not necessarily part of the so-called canon. And so it's been really great exploring what pieces would be particularly meaningful to bring to you that you may not have ever heard before, and that are pieces that are definitely going to 100 years from now be considered part of the canon. Going along with that, Also, another underlying undercurrent of the week is that the groups get bigger and bigger as they go on. So we start with actually a lot of solo performances on the first Saturday, and by the last Sunday, 9 days later, we have 16 people on stage. And the idea of chamber music is generally smaller ensembles as opposed to symphony orchestra. And usually we're talking about duos, trios, quartets, but chamber music also has been expanded into larger groups by composers who are kind of creating little symphony orchestras. And that's what we have with that piece on the last concert that we'll hear a little bit of. It's called a Sinfonia ensemble, and it's in an orchestra. If you go to an orchestra, a big orchestra, you might see 20, 30 violins on stage, and 10 violists and 10 cellists, and 4 flutes and 4 oboes and 4 clarinets and so on. In the Sinfonia, there's one of each instrument. So we have the entire color, but it's just like a petite symphony. Here's our schedule of events over here on the left. So as you can see, it's quite a full schedule, and an amazing number of artists who come in over the course of 9 days. Really, truly, some really world-renowned, legendary names, beginning with the first one at the top, Jamie Laredo. Maybe some of you are familiar with Jamie as music director of the Vermont Symphony. He just retired a few years ago. And he's coming with his piano trio that he has with his wife, cellist Sharon Robinson. And they are arguably the greatest piano trio of the last 50 years or so. And also happen to be one of my teachers. We also have, though, it's very generational generally at the artist list at Lake Champlain Festival. And at the very bottom, you'll see the Young Artists Quartet. And these are musicians in their early 20s. And two of them actually happen to be my students at the New England Conservatory. And these are 4 of the most talented of their generation. And we always try to have a group, often hosted by Barb and Marty, a group that we are really encouraging to begin to give opportunities to, because this is really the beginning of their careers, and it's an amazing chance for them to see all the older artists in action. So the first Saturday of our festival usually eases into the bigger concerts with some spoken or smaller playing events, and that's what we're doing on this opening Saturday as well. We always have a sort of keynote speaker who will address the theme of the week, sometimes give an overview of the week. In this year, we have composer and flutist Valerie Coleman, who's really become a major figure in the last few years. A lot of firsts for her. For example, the first living Black female composer to have a work performed by the Philadelphia Orchestra, which is kind of unbelievable that it took this long, but it's also wonderful that it's happening. She was also featured. She had a new piece performed for the opening of the Carnegie Hall season last year. She is a really great flutist as well, and before the last few years, she was primarily known not as a composer, but as the flutist of the Imani Winds, a really great wind quintet. So I have a little video of her speaking queued up. She's a speaker of really great depth, and she's also going to perform a short piece of hers with my wife, Gloria, who is the co-director of the festival.
Hi, my name is Valerie Coleman, and my piece Phenomenal Women will be premiered with Imani Winds and American Composers Orchestra at Carnegie Hall on November 2nd, 2018. Hope to see you there. The piece is about phenomenal women that have changed the fabric of the way we look and perceive life. They are Maya Angelou, Clarissa Shields, Michelle Obama, Katherine Johnson, and Serena Williams. The idea for Phenomenal Women came after the offer was made for the commission, and it came around the time that I was researching Maya Angelou's works. The very first part is to Maya herself, and it is, it goes through her poems from Still I Rise to I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings to Phenomenal Women. And there's a certain calypso feel to it. It's sexy, but at the same time, it's very bold. And so with
Yeah, so you can see, just get a little bit of a taste. Just a very inspiring person on so many levels, and these days she's really embracing that spotlight, and has become a great inspiration for so many younger musicians as well. So it's really exciting to have her opening the spirit of our festival week. Sorry, I'm not so quick with the sharing. Okay, back to the to the brochure. Um, right here in the upper left-hand corner now of your screen is a group called the Catalyst Quartet. The second violinist, that character right there with the orange glasses, actually was one of my students as well. Her name's Abby Fayette. And the Catalyst Quartet has become a real trailblazer in the classical music world in terms of focusing almost all of their work in the last few years on a project they call Uncovered, and they've been really focusing on bringing forward music by Black and Hispanic composers whose music really just has not been, for various reasons, did not come to the forefront. And this is really amazing work. They're changing the string quartet canon as we speak. They're the pieces that they are recording, and they're in the middle of this 5 or 6 record recording project over many years. The pieces that they're recording have all become standard repertoire that you're hearing all the time, and so that's a lot what they're going to share with us during the festival. They 3 of them are graduates of the Sphinx organization, which is based out of Detroit, and they are They are the premier organization in the classical music field that does work promoting young Black and Latino musicians, instrumentalists and composers, and this quartet over the course of the last 20 years has really been put forward by Sphinx. They're an excellent quartet, and let's listen to a little bit of them. This is a little bit of a piece by a composer named Florence Price. Florence Price was active in the first half of the 20th century. It was around I think in the 1920s or 30s, that she also has a connection to me through the New England Conservatory. She came to study in Boston. Sadly, at the time, she had to lie about getting in. She had to lie about her race because she didn't think that she would be allowed in as a black woman. And so she said that she was Mexican, and turned out to be quite successful, was one of the first women to have, not just black women, but women to have works done by major orchestras like the Chicago Symphony and the Boston Symphony. And this is one of the pieces called Five Folk Songs in Counterpoint. There's back to that word counterpoint. You're going to hear a theme. We're going to listen to Swing Low, Sweet Chariot, and you'll probably recognize some of that theme, and you'll see how it's passed around the group, and when another instrument takes it over, you can listen to what the original instrument is playing, and they're playing a much more kind of complex, convoluted voice that is not, it's almost not allowing you to listen to the next statement of the theme clearly. It's really coloring it in a different way so that it starts to sound different. It doesn't sound like the same old theme. I'm going to give you the spoiler and skip ahead. So they will be playing not that piece, but another work by Florence Price. I want to say four songs. I can look. That one is 5 songs in counterpoint. No, this one is just called Negro Folk Songs in Counterpoint. But I think there are 4 in that set. And so they're going to be playing that at St. Paul's later in the week.
And that concert's free, correct, Soovin?
That's right. Thursday at noon is free. But we're happy for you to come to one of our paid events as well. So here on now elsewhere, if you look on this Monday and Tuesday schedule, you'll see under Monday there's a master class with the Young Artists Quartet that will they're going to play a Brahms string quartet, work on a Brahms string quartet during the week, and so they'll work with me. So you get to see a lot of the work that I spend my days with, that I do with young musicians who have really dedicated their lives from such an early age to what we do, and it's really amazing to watch them working and to try to help them. A big part of our festival week is our resident composer David Sirkin Ludwig. So over here under Tuesday, you'll see the first of his inside pitch talks. He's giving 3 inside pitch talks during the week. And he talks about, he's really one of the greatest tour guides for the music and the composers that we are experiencing during the week. So the noontime concert, which is the Catalyst Quartet on Tuesday at All Souls in Shelburne, beautiful, beautiful spot for a concert. It's with Samuel Coleridge Taylor, another black composer from around the turn of the 20th century, and the great Czech composer Antonín Dvořák. And both of them were composers who really wanted to bring the folk music of their heritage forward through their more their larger form works. And so composer David Sirkin Ludwig is talking about folk nationalism. In the late 19th century, this idea became really prevalent among many composers from around the world. Johannes Brahms writing his Hungarian dances, Béla Bartók with the music of Hungary, Charles Ives here in New England, who was using all the church music and folk tunes of his upbringing in Connecticut, and using those in counterpoint in his works. So David Ludwig will be talking about that. There's too much to talk about. We're going to skip ahead a little bit to watch a little more video of a major work during the week, which is Igor Stravinsky's Soldier's Tale. It's a theatrical work from just before 1920, I believe, right around 1920. And it is a work kind of inspired by the World War I period, which interestingly has a lot of analogies. It was not the reason this was programmed before the current Russia-Ukraine war, but there are a lot of analogies to this point in history. And The Soldier's Tale is it's not a story that Stravinsky made up. It's an old Russian, based on an old Russian folktale about a soldier who plays the violin and makes a deal with the devil, so the devil has a real substantial part in this, as does the violin and the violinist, me. Soldier's Tale is done in all kinds of iterations. It's interpreted in different ways. It's most common to have 3 different characters acting, and then sometimes that's enhanced with many other dancers. And we are going to have a single person doing it, So you're going to kind of see an amazing one-man show performance by Doug Fitch. And he's going to play all the characters at once. I'm very curious to see him do this. It's going to be very entertaining, for sure. He's a great, thoughtful artist and human being, and incredibly dramatic, and with an amazing sense of humor. So that would be fun to watch just the beginning of a performance of The Soldier's Tale. This is from a performance at a series in New Jersey called Parlance Concerts.
Not a bad sort of spot. Join the army. I've had my lot. Always on trick. Not a penny to bless. Oh, Struth. My kid's in a hell of a mess. Where's my St. Joseph? He looks in his pack for a lucky medallion he has with the face of his namesake, St. Joseph, engraved on the back. Ah, there it is. He goes on rummaging, brings up cartridges. Here's a mirror with most of the silvering gone. Where's her picture? Now that mustn't be missed. The picture his girlfriend gave him the day he went off to enlist. Ah, here it is. And right from the middle, he draws out an old brown fiddle. Didn't cost much. The tone's not rich. Yeah. You gotta keep screwing it up to pitch.
Same time next week?
You got it.
Cool.
Let's go.
Let's get everyone home. From Disney and Pixar.
Are we going to space? I can.
And now we see the devil for the first time in the guise of a little old man with a butterfly net.
We could have spent a whole hour just on that piece, taking you through the various movements. It's an incredible story, and the range of music in it is tremendous. It's really, really exciting work to watch. As you can see, it's fun, it's moving, it's thought provoking, and the music is just dazzling. Very colorful little ensemble there. And that is taking us into our final weekend. As I said, the pieces are getting bigger and bigger. And I'll take you back to the brochure here. That is percussionist Ayano Kataoka, great percussionist who teaches at UMass Amherst, and this is clarinetist David Schifrin, who will also be joining us. And why don't we close with a little bit of David Serkin Ludwig's Les Adieux Concerto here under Sunday's concert. It was a piece that was written for David Schifrin, a chamber concerto. So as opposed for clarinet and symphony orchestras, for clarinet and 14 other musicians, as well as a conductor. And it was premiered last summer. This is a co-commission between Lake Champlain Chamber Music Festival and Chamber Music Northwest in Portland, Oregon. And it was premiered last summer in Portland. So this will be the second performance. Sorry, I'm still slow at this. Okay. Here's a little bit of David Ludwig talking about the piece.
Hello, my name is David Ludwig, and I'm the composer of the next piece, Les Adieux, and I'm delighted to introduce it to you now. The title of the piece comes from a Beethoven sonata of the same name, and Beethoven was writing about a friend of his who had to flee Vienna during a Napoleonic siege. No one had to flee for my piece. This is a clarinet concerto for David Schifrin. And besides the fact that it was a Beethoven year, I was very taken with the idea of departure, absence, and return. And that's what the three movements of the piece are about. So it begins with departure. You'll hear descending lines constantly withdrawing. Then the second movement is Hebrew prayer, much adorned, played absolutely beautifully by David. And the third movement is the return. So after absence, a return. And that is rising lines where the sound is always coming into being and always returning. And so the piece ends on a note, not just of triumph, but of hope. And of course, during the period of COVID, the piece was postponed. And really it took on a brand new meaning, thinking about the idea of departure, and then absence, and then especially return and the hope that is in the piece. So I just want to say thank you so much to Chamber Music Northwest, to Soovin, to Gloria, and to David Schifrin, an incomparable artist, truly a blessing. So thank you very much, and I hope that you enjoy the music.
Sorry to stop it. So beautiful. But you're gonna have to come to the concert. To hear it. Very, very sweet sound, the sweet tone of clarinetist David Schifrin. There was one last little fun clip I wanted to show you. Gives you an example of the kind of artists that we're having, kind of young performers that we're having throughout the week. And there is a fun concert on the Saturday, the last Saturday of the festival, that we're calling a Virtuoso Showcase. And you've heard some very beautiful music, the music I was playing for you. And this concert is just meant to be jaw-dropping virtuosity. Very short, shamelessly virtuosic pieces that simply highlight the individual skills of the performer. And one of these is a trumpeter named Brandon Ridenour. And I'll just play a little bit of this performance of Carnival of Venice. I love seeing the faces of the students throughout. If you watch them, they're just, that says it all. It's just kind of not to be believed what he's doing. It's also, I think it's hilarious watching certain wind players, and trumpeters are certainly among them. Their faces are so frozen. I mean, technically they can't smile and keep doing what you're doing, but something about Brandon, he's so expressive, and somehow still you can kind of see his faces, and yet it's a little deadpan at the same time. It's like there's all that emotion and just frozen, and so and he's going to be highlighted throughout the week. So there it is. That's the Lake Champlain Festival in 2022, and we hope that as many of you will join us. I think it's going to be. We were able to have our festival last August. It was really wonderful, cathartic to be together again in person, but it still was, it was just as the Delta variant was taking off, and we were still really walking on eggshells. I mean, I know we still, we're still taking care these days, but there is just a different kind of feeling in gathering for live events like this. And so I think it's going to be a particularly special summer.
Well, Soovin, I want to thank you for this wonderful tour of what the week is going to be like. I also wanted you to say something about, is it called the school that you sponsor?
Oh, yes.
Just tell everybody about that quickly.
Right. We have a program throughout the year called One Strings. It's called and One String, ONE is for the Old North End Strings. And it's at the IAA, Integrated Arts Academy. We helped them start a violin program a number of years ago, now probably 9 years ago or so. And it was amazing. We started out with a pilot program of putting violins in the hands of just a couple of classes, and as it developed, now every third, fourth, and fifth grader in the school studies violin as part of their school curriculum. So it's not an after-school program. They have an after-school program as well, but this is during school, and it's been amazing to watch the kids over a number of years. Now they're graduating from high school, from Burlington High School, some of the first kids who are playing. So you're talking about 50 people per grade, starting in third grade. By the time you get up to fifth grade, that's like 250 kids who will, over a 3-year period, have been studying violin over any 3-year period. And it's been an amazing experience to see that added to their lives. So that's a wonderful program for sure to support.
Well, I want to thank you. And as part of our guest speakers, we also support our mentoring program in the Williston School District. And each of our speaker, as a thank you, we, as I said, make a donation in your honor. And so we appreciate that. And I just wanted to tie it together with all the wonderful things you do for One Strings.
Thank you so much.
And I hope people will get enthusiastic about coming to the festival. Marty and I are hosting again 3 young composers. We just enjoy watching these young people grow and bumping into them and watching their careers blossom, because they're all phenomenal musicians.
Thank you so much, Marty and Barb.
Thank you. And are there any quick questions before we sign off? Martin.
Yeah, I'll just make a real quick comment. I've never heard Soovin toot his own horn, or toot his own violin, I should say. But he and his wife, Gloria Chen, who is the co-director's pianist, they are internationally esteemed performers, educators, and so we're incredibly lucky to have them, as is David Ludwig as a composer. So it's an amazing leadership group that we have for the festival. My question, Soovin, is how in the world do you come up with the theme every year?
I don't know. It just appears. I mean, that is a good question. Sometimes it begins, the programming begins with a theme that we're really interested in. And sometimes the theme comes out of the repertoire we're really interested in. So it kind of goes both ways. And a lot of it is in conversations that David Ludwig and I are having about things we're just curious about in music. And so, yeah, a lot of the themes over the years were just, it's like what we're talking about naturally. So Marty's a big baseball fan, and he'll attest that there's, as is David Ludwig and as am I, and so there's a lot of, even the inside pitch sessions for David Ludwig, that's baseball lingo there. And there was one particular festival where we went into the 5 tools of a composer. If you're a baseball fan, you know that young baseball prospects are graded on 5 tools I'm not going to get them all immediately, Marty, but like how well they throw, how well they can hit a ball, make contact with a ball, power, speed, etc. And we decided to do that with composers, and our whole festival was addressing those 5 tools of a composer, like how well can they write a melody, how prolific are they, how many different kinds of instruments did they write well for, that sort of thing. That was a particularly fun theme.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes, Leslie.
I just want to say, Soovin and Robert, thank you so much. This has been a great way to start the day. And I have the Chamber Festival in my calendar now and really looking forward to it. And thank you for the little tidbits you gave us, but gosh, it was really hard when you stopped. And thank you, Barbara, very much, and Marty too, for all of the support that you offer. This was great.
Welcome. Soovin and Robert, you're welcome to stay or you may leave. And we appreciate everything and look forward to the festival come August.
Thank you so much. I'm going to take off and get my boy to school. So
thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Barb. Does anybody have any announcements this morning? No, I'm not muted. Oh, did we freeze maybe? Can you all hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
We can hear you here.
I think I may have frozen. I apologize. Does anyone have any announcements?
No.
Marty does.
I just want to remind everybody for the race committee, we have a meeting tomorrow morning. I hope we get as many as possible. I think we need some important things we need to do. It's getting time to get kind of specific about planning and such. So see you all tomorrow.
9 o'clock Zoom, right?
Right.
Perfect. Thank you, Marty. Any other announcements? Well, it just so happens I have a few, of course. I just wanted to remind you all that the Williston Community Theater has their presentation of Tales and Things, which is the inaugural play that we sponsored as a club and provided the seed money to get the theater going. So that will be June 23rd to the 25th. The 23rd is the gala performance, which is adults only. And hopefully we'll have a lot of Rotarians there to not only show our appreciation for the theater, but also for them to be able to show appreciation to us for the
And
work.
you'll also get to hear Dr. Lewinter.
That's right. Absolutely. So it will be a wonderful evening. I asked last week, and I'm going to ask again this week, if there are any Rotarians who would be interested in helping to park cars at any of those 3 nights, the 23rd, 24th, or 25th. Armand and I are already going to park cars.
It's lots of fun. I encourage everyone to give it a try. We always have a great time doing that.
Okay, so I can't really see what's happening in Fellowship Hall. So if there are lots of hands raised, I can't see them. So you'll have to shout out to me. Okay, well, moving right along. If anybody would like to, please let me know. Also, a reminder that the library, the Friends of the Library, will be hosting their annual book sale 4th of July weekend. So they do need volunteers to help on July 1st to set up and July 4th to tear down. And
we promised that we would help because they're going to give us at least 4 boxes of books to distribute to the schools.
Right. So I am planning to help.
I am too.
All right. And Armand is planning to help and Barb is planning to help. So I would really like us to have, it'd be nice if we had 4 people each day. So we've got 3. I need 5 more volunteers. Chris, thank you, Chris. I can see you. Elizabeth, thank you. Okay, I need 3 more. And it's really setting books out, and then tear down is putting books in boxes and shrink wrapping boxes and getting them out of there. So what have I got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3 more, please.
What time of day do you know?
I don't know who said that. I
Sorry,
couldn't.
this is Ellie.
Oh, okay.
And I'm
Are you
just asking. I'll volunteer if it's after or before work. So I'm not sure what time on that 1st or 4th.
Okay, and I did put that out in the minutes to everyone, and let me just see if I can quickly pull it up. It looks like, where are my glasses? On my head. Let's see. On July 1st, setup is 3 to 4 p.m. And on July 4th, it's 2 to 4 p.m.
So put me in as a maybe.
Okay,
I
for
can get off.
which day?
Whichever one you need people for.
Okay. And I will be reaching out to those of you who have offered just to solidify days and times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Could I have one more, please?
I'll do it.
Oh, thank you, Andrew, very much. Okay, I appreciate that. So that is those 2 things. I put in the minutes that we were going to do an exploratory hike on the Schmoker Trail tomorrow morning, but that has been changed to Saturday morning. So anybody who would like to join us, it's really going to be exploratory for major maintenance needs, and it'll also be trail work for some of the more minor things like picking up trash or doing some clipping. So that's in the minutes. You should all see that if you opened up the minutes, and we'll be meeting at 9 o'clock on Saturday. And that will be at the trailhead on Sunset Hill Road. And I'm sorry, Charlie, I couldn't hear what you said.
Here, sorry.
I normally would plan to help with that, but I'm not available this Saturday.
Oh, I'm sorry, Charlie. Thank you for always helping, though. I appreciate it. So today, this time you get respite and we'll have others jump in, but thank you. Okay, and then also, and in the minutes, I put down things you could bring: hat, gloves, bug spray, water, preferably rotary hat, clippers if you have them. And then on the website, thanks to Armand and Susan Cote, we have the Adopt-A-Bench. So there's a map that shows all of the benches that need to be maintained, and there's a way to sign up for benches. So feel free to jump in and take a look at that. And if you have any questions about signing up online, I think probably at this point, Susan's the one to ask. I haven't tried to sign up yet. So that's the Adopt-A-Bench. And then finally, we have a Memorial Day observance that we are hosting on Monday, May 30th. And we will start with a bagpiper and we will end with taps. And in between, we will dedicate the new bricks and honor the deceased veterans. So I hope that we'll have a good turnout of Rotarians and community members.
Leslie mentioned the time. It's 8 o'clock, right? 8 a.m.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. 8 a.m. Wow, we're starting late, everybody. Any questions about the things that I've just mentioned? I know that's a lot. Okay, all of these things are in the minutes. The only change is the Schmoker Trail from Friday to Saturday at 9. Okay, if there are no other announcements, I will pass this to Armand for sharing time.
Okay, stop recording.
Oh, yes, we can go ahead and stop the recording now.
On yours.